Good morning, and welcome to the 24th Annual BOMA Idaho Commercial Real Estate Symposium. My name is Christian Heiner with Stackrock Group. I'm going to be your guide throughout this event today. You may have noticed it looks and feels a little different. It looks and feels a whole lot different to us as well. I am used to being amongst my people, networking with everybody, seeing old friends, making new friends. Doing it this way virtually, I'll be honest, is not my first choice, but it's how we have to do it this year. Next year, fingers crossed, it's going to be a whole lot different. So glad you're here. We have an amazing show for you today. Given the change in format, how things had to be different, we had to adapt. We have, traditionally focused on the networking and obviously the information, but this year we have 100% focused on the information, and the panel discussions we have, the information sessions we have with some of our sponsors are top notch, and I know you're going to want to see these. The very first one I'm very excited about. This very first workshop with ESI, also the Idaho AGC jumped on this as well. This is called the Lessons Learned Constructing During COVID. Here's ESI.
Well, welcome everybody. We are here with a panel of fine folks from ESI Construction to talk about lessons learned construction during COVID. These are some people who were boots on the ground and had to respond quickly. And so we've brought them here together today to talk about some of the lessons they learned, some of the things they had to put in place on the fly, and what they're going to take forward in some cases with them. So we'll turn the time over to them. And we will start with Marianne.
Thank you. My name is Marianne Nelson, and I'm the Director of Safety for ESI. And this is Andrea Hovey. She is the Director of Quality and Environmental Compliance. And then Jarrett Whitescarver is the Vice President of Field Operations. And each of us was highly involved in the COVID response for ESI.
Okay, well, let's start with you, Marianne, and let's talk about immediate response to COVID.
So we started talking about COVID in mid-February. We brought that up in a safety meeting that we had, that it was a concern worldwide. So we were on it quickly. I feel like that was a real early response for our company. We started to just, is this a real thing? Is it a concern? And we immediately started to address it like a flu season and put up wash your hands and stay clean and those kinds of things before it was ever labeled a pandemic or anything like that. So I feel like we did a great job of responding, knowing what's going on around the country and around the world, and taking some steps right away to make an impact with our people and keep them safe and healthy.
Perfect. Okay. What about some of the changes that you had to make with, in-person type meetings, different changes that you made there?
So initially, I think our first change that we made related to travel. So we, given that we work in so many different states and around the world, we had to address travel and travel restrictions as they came across. And we allowed people initially to choose to travel or not travel. And then as the actual travel restrictions came across the board, we said, stay home. We're going to start working from home. We can start calling FaceTime. We actually utilized FaceTime before Zoom became a thing. In the safety group, we had our field teams taking their phone out and FaceTiming safety concerns to our managers and addressing them with FaceTime. And that's initially how we responded. Then we set up as things got more heated. Because I have to remember, we thought this was all going to blow over by May, I think, like everybody else, and how serious is this going to be? And so we were taking steps, but we still kind of were at, to be honest, like this can't last. This isn't that big of a deal sort of situation. But as things got more heated and more restrictions rolled in, then we established a task force. Our task force was meeting weekly. And, late into it, March and April, we had some where we met several times during the week to just try and keep up with all the requirements of, when you think about a state requirement, a federal requirement, a county requirement, and then a city municipality, and all of those being different, it was a lot of work. And fortunately, we had a really good support from our in-house legal team and the experience of, our team members to help us through that, because it was a ton of extra work on top of keeping us functioning and keeping us working, because, we are essential. And so we didn't shut down, and we were thankful for that. But extra work to everybody's plate for sure.
And also quickly reaching out to the governor's office and the AGC and other groups that were out there trying to figure out what they were doing as well
we did a lot
partner
of that
with
too.
them. Okay.
Awesome. Talk about the QR code.
So initially, this came to us from one of our own team members. One of our superintendents is a volunteer fireman, and before he could go to work on a weekend shift, he had to log in and answer these health questions related to how he was feeling. And he showed it to, actually, I think it was Jarrett, turned it in and said, "This is really cool." And so we said, yeah, that is a great idea, because we can change the questions depending on what state we were working in. We have a different set of questions in Oregon versus Idaho, for example. And so it was really key to us being able to allow individuals to check in and assess those questions that we've all been asking for the last 15 or so months of, do you have a fever, et cetera. So it was really awesome for us. And then we could actually have some documentation too to back that up.
Excellent. Okay. I think I'm going to ask you this one, and we might come back to it later.
Sure.
The benefits of COVID.
I think the benefits, there's a silver lining in everything, right? So it doesn't take me very long to realize that for me personally, a benefit is realizing that I work in a great industry. I mean, construction is a great industry, and I'm thankful every day that I get to work in construction. There's a lot of industries out there, restaurants, for example, that they haven't been as lucky as us, that, we weren't laid off. We didn't have those concerns. So number one thing for me is just more gratitude for where I work and the industry that I work in. And secondly, I think the QR code, knowing that, at ESI, we can bring a team of people together with our task force. Jarrett was on the task force with me, and we did a really good job of managing COVID. I mean, Jarrett will talk about what they did in the field operations, but I'm proud of what we did. I'm proud of how we reacted to it. And it's only because of the people on our team that have a wide variety of knowledge and experience and skills. And so I'm proud of it. And so I think that's a silver lining, just recognizing that you put a challenge in front of us, and this pandemic, whatever, we had an earthquake. We had a rough year this year. And you know what? We survived, and we're going strong. So I guess that would be the silver lining for me.
Awesome. Thank you. So let's talk about, after that first reaction, starting to, try and manage some of the different changes that everybody was going through. Talk about some of the material changes, some of the concessions that had to be made, or some of the change orders that had to happen on job sites because you couldn't get things.
Yeah, so, Marianne and Jarrett were really focused on our operational and personnel challenges with COVID. And I look at things through a slightly different lens with quality. And one of the first things that really came to mind for me is, well, we can't get toilet paper, we can't get hand sanitizer. We're building buildings that require a lot of materials every day. What else are we not going to be able to get? And so I worked with our team and implemented a new system of material verification. And generally speaking, material verification is important in our work every day. We just didn't have necessarily a formalized process or expectation around checking our materials. But a lot of our subcontractors out there will grab whatever material they have available in their truck, even if we have a different material approved. And if they go to pick up materials at a supply house and they don't have the one that they were looking for, they'll grab something that they feel is equivalent. And that's not necessarily what our clients expect. So we really wanted to make sure that we were checking to make sure that the materials that were being installed on our projects were consistent with our clients' expectations, and then also that we get an early warning if materials are starting to become unavailable. And there's there's a lot of data coming in, but it's something like over 70% of contractors are experiencing material delays. And locally here, I think our carpentry, trades and lumber are being most impacted, but lighting and some electrical materials are also becoming harder to get. So really keeping an eye on that. We have a spot check program now where every week we randomly find 3 materials on the job, come back to the trailer and review the submittals and make sure that they match the materials that we expect to be installed. And it's not only great for us to have the confidence that we're putting in what's expected, but it's also a training opportunity for our junior team members, because a lot of times they're sitting in an office and processing paperwork and reviewing the submittals and turning them in. But if you ask them to go out on a job site and actually find and identify those materials, they don't always have that opportunity. So positive from my standpoint is finding a way to integrate a little bit more training and a little bit more material familiarization while also protecting our quality at the same time has been a really cool side effect of COVID.
And you might have mentioned this, but I kind of wanted to bring it up again. How do you implement something like the processes you were talking about as an owner, developer, designer?
So I think just having a process for verifying and spot checking things going on a job site is hugely important. As an owner, developer, or client, a lot of folks out there are using third parties to perform spot checks and provide that feedback to subcontractors. I think keeping an eye on materials and workforce as we move forward through the remainder of COVID is always important, and working with contractors that have a quality program. So ESI has a quality program, and I know several of our competitors also have quality programs, and just really understanding the value of a program like that and looking for that when you're making selections, I think is important, because we're your first line of defense with all of the subcontractor trade out there. I think we all know that there are a lot of trade manpower shortages coming through, and working with builders that are doing their best to make sure that the training and education and product that's being installed is what's expected is important.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. Let's jump over to Jarrett for a minute, and then I'll let you guys chat about a few things, because I know there's so much to talk about when it comes to this. Let's talk about really quickly the working hours, how those changed during the last year.
Yeah, when we realized that we were essential and we wanted to keep our projects open, we looked at alternative ways that we could engage our employees and keep them active and continue to keep them on job sites. We partnered with our owners, we partnered with the AGC to look at opportunities where we could keep them working. And one of those was by adjusting our work hours. By moving to 410s, it allowed us to clean our work sites, have a full 3 days of no one on our work sites. If there was an exposure, it gave them more time off of work without missing a paycheck. And so it also led to opportunities with our inspections, where we would partner with the municipalities or the cities to ensure that when the inspectors came out, that there was no one on the job site. So we tried to coordinate inspections on Fridays. We had a clear the site for inspections process, where if they couldn't make it on a Friday, we had to coordinate it on a Monday or Tuesday. Then we may adjust our work schedules and allow us to give that work day and adjust it to a Friday and take Monday off. Or if there was a potential exposure on the job site, then maybe we would start on Tuesday and work until Friday, and that would give us that Monday to get the site clean. So it allowed us to be really flexible, but continue to keep work in progress. And at the same time, assess and evaluate where we were at every week. So as Marianne mentioned, the task force was collaborating with local companies and organizations to see what was going on, and things are changing so rapidly that we found that was the best way to keep people on our job sites, keep employees working and get them a paycheck, and continue to keep them engaged.
So is that something, the changing of the schedules, is that something you'll continue to do post-COVID?
Yeah, it depends on the geographical area and also the timing of our projects. We have found that it has been beneficial in some locations, larger projects or overpopulated work areas where it's very difficult to separate employees because of tight quarters, and also depending on procurement of materials. As Andrea mentioned, it's been very difficult to get materials. So we may coordinate material drop-offs and try to get all of our materials and resources to build the project on a Friday, which would help not having people around, or delivery trucks. Some of the delivery companies won't allow their delivery drivers to connect with or interact with the superintendents on site, so they coordinate via phone or as Marianne mentioned, FaceTime, Zoom, and then we'll allow those deliveries to occur with minimal people on the job site. So we'll continue as necessary, and also we'll continue to partner with the local jurisdictions and cities to ensure that all of the workers that aren't working directly for ESI or working for the ESI are safe and continue to implement the QR code process, and that may include adjusting our work hours moving forward.
All right. Well, we've got about 5 minutes left, so I want to give each of you an opportunity and what I was thinking in my mind that I'd like to hear about is some of the best things that you found when you were serving on that committee together, the task force together, maybe some of the good things that came out of it, some of the challenges that came out of it, and just take about 5 minutes.
Well, for me, I think that I may walk into that meeting feeling like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. What's going on in the world? And after hearing the stories of this person's sister is hospitalized or something like that, then after you talk about it, you almost felt, wow, this is scary. And, you know, people are getting sick, and what can we do and how can we protect our people? But I feel like overall, we made all of our decisions in the best interest of the health and safety of our people. And we really tried to balance and be moderate and not really over the top this way or underperforming that way. And I think that's a really good thing. I don't know if that's your impression, Jarrett, but that's how I felt overall. It was we did a good job of remaining moderate, of addressing what needed to be addressed at the time, and making solid decisions for our company.
Yeah, no, I agree. Just the process of discussing and knowing that we were going into that meeting every Monday morning to try to forecast what the week was going to look like, with as quickly as things were changing with the CDC and the WHO, and trying to figure out, what are we going to do to keep our employees engaged? And when they're engaged, they're safe, number one. So they continue to work, which keeps them safe because they stay engaged mentally. Number two, how do we keep them safe on our job site with the regulations and requirements that are going to be put in place? And number three, most importantly, was just how does this look for Idaho in general? And are we leading edge on what we need to do to continue to stay competitive? And I think one thing that we've seen is what it's done for the economy in Idaho and mainly Boise, but the entire state of Idaho. And our community living division continues to grow. Although we face procurement challenges and material challenges, we see the future of 2020 and 2022 to be very healthy and successful because of what our state has done and stayed open and continue to keep construction essential and allow other businesses to stay operating, which has helped essentially construction, building new homes and new buildings and new restaurants and new facilities for the Idahoans that are here. So.
Yeah, I think from my end, we work in so many different places, and there are a lot of us who work out of the main office but have responsibility overseeing a lot of work that's in different places. And like everyone else, the getting more comfortable with Zoom and all of these other digital tools, and realizing that we can do a lot more with a lot less time and a lot less resources is pretty amazing, because we're able to continue to handle our upcoming workload is larger than we've ever had, and we're looking at our staffing a little bit differently. We're looking at our compliance programs. Maybe we don't need to send somebody on a 3-day trip to go walk a job and go to a meeting. We have great meetings now with people all over the country, and I'm really proud of how quickly we've adapted to the technology and how we continue to find innovative ways to use that to improve our business and to be more efficient. And I think it's forcing us to change a lot faster, and we're rising to the challenge.
Yeah, implementing new processes like the 3D camera walks.
Yep.
Looking at AI and things that are coming out there, and it's forced us to become take a new way of looking at how we operate and how we do construction across the country, but also function here in Idaho. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a real common sense approach to everything we did. And that's led to our success, because if you read the CDC guidelines every day, sometimes you wonder if there's any common sense at all. And the level of even the issue with masks, is it 1 layer, 2 layer? And I saw Dr. Fauci say yesterday, now you should have 2 masks. So we have to have some moderation and some common sense. And I think ESI has done a great job of leading our company with common sense.
Awesome. Thank you. From the studio to the job site, we had a chance to gear up and tour CAR-T in Boise to get a first-hand look at safety measures on site.
There are some core fundamental safety concerns, but every project has its own personality and its own specific hazards. It could be underground power, it could be overhead power that can't be moved. So it's the job of the site to be actively talking about what they're seeing on a daily basis so we can come up with a good plan.
As part of the plan on job sites over the past year, ESI started using the app Marianne Nelson told us about in the studio. So we asked safety manager Rob Nelson to show us how it works.
Okay, if I was a worker showing up on this project, after the safety orientation, outlining the site-specific safety program here, I would be directed to ask myself these 3 questions. Have I been tested positive for COVID? If I have been in close contact with anyone that's been confirmed or suspected COVID in the last 14 days, or if I'm experiencing symptoms. So whether I'm an individual worker or whether I'm a foreman of a group of workers out here, they're supposed to ask these questions every day. So if they can say yes, then you pull out your camera on your phone, and you scan that QR code, and it pulls up a website. So here is the COVID questionnaire.
If a worker scans the code to fill out a positive or probable COVID case, the task force takes action.
If we do have yes answers, we will reach back out to our field teams on each project with the next steps to control this hazard on our projects.
It's not only the team here at this job site, but construction crews throughout the valley, sharing success stories and working together.
Moving forward, we're going to be, I think as an industry, just more aware of the health hazards in all sorts of construction. Because of the quick response and the creativity, determination, being dedicated to making sure our sites are safe, and at the end of the day, everyone goes home safe. We were able to overcome some challenges, and we have good opportunities and patterns to follow moving forward to make sure we have continued success.
In fact, the program running the COVID data among employees and subs has been so successful at preventing the spread of the virus on job sites, ESI is now adding more QR codes to help streamline other tasks.
On our projects, we require something called a JHA, a job hazard analysis. That crew working, what is their safe working plan that they're going to come up with, identifying hazards and removing and safely producing during the day. That's referred to as a job hazard analysis. And the QR code that we developed with COVID, we are developing that to do a job hazard analysis digitally. So they can scan a code, it'll produce a form in which they can digitally put in their plan instead of just writing it on paper, which is very normal in construction. They produce a JHA card or sheet. That's something that we've learned that we'll carry forward on how we can use the digital QR code for a number of different reasons moving forward.
As we walked, we noticed something else, a piece of equipment born out of necessity when hand sanitizer was hard to find, a box, and an idea that came from some ESI employees.
So during the onset of that challenge, we had an opportunity. A couple of our guys came up with an option and built a hot and cold water hand washing station that was produced to our projects to try to span that gap of when we could get them from suppliers to actually really needing them on site as we were dealing with COVID. It was a good option to have, especially being able to have that hot water on demand, you know, better sanitation, better hygiene, washing hands and things like that with those hand washing stations.
All these lessons learned while constructing during COVID are having a lasting effect here, lessons that are sticking around as part of future plans at every project.
Every phase presents its own challenges, and if we can coordinate that and ask, you know, questions that on the front end instead of trying to deal with the challenge in the moment. What I think moving forward, I think we'll always in some way, shape or form have to deal with COVID and just the overall condition of our workers on the project, and it's our responsibility to coordinate together, identify the hazards on site, whether that be COVID, whether that be a fall protection issue, a deep excavation. The good safe working plan amongst everybody needs to be executed so that at the end of the day everybody goes home safe. We'll always deal with that, and I think COVID just gives another added facet. What are we overlooking? What could we potentially be overlooking that would impact the schedule of the job, sending people home safe, you know, and meeting our obligations.
Thanks, ESI. That was amazing. And now, a moment to thank our sponsors. Without these sponsors, this event would not be possible. Thank you. This year's Platinum sponsors: BVA Development, ESI, Idaho Power, Zions Bank. Video sponsor: Capital City Development Corporation. Keynote sponsor: Clark Wardle. Kickoff sponsors: AAA Roofing by Gene, HC Company, and TSS, Total System Services, is bringing the heat. Digital media sponsor: Stackrock Group. Gold sponsors: Blueprint Specialties, Holly Troxel, Idaho Business Review, OEC, thank you for the set furniture, and TOK Commercial. And our silver sponsors: thank you, bronze sponsors: this year's ticket sponsors: Fidelity National Title, Cutting Edge Services, Oppenheimer Development Corporation, Lee & Associates, Condoc. And thank you to this year's advertisers, RMH Company and the Sundance Company. And now, a word from our sponsors.
I want to say thank you to Zions Bank for making this such an easy process for me and for saving my business.
Hello, my name is Scott Galloway. I'm the president of Office Environment Company. We're making a difference right now in commercial space by helping organizations recruit, retain, and now attract their talent back to the workplace by building amazing spaces where employees love to work.
Hey guys, I'm Nick Smith, the branch manager at AAA Roofing, your local commercial roofing contractor here in Idaho. As a new member to BOMA, we've already received enormous support from the community and the industry. Thank you, BOMA, for shining the light on AAA Roofing and the industry.
And thanks again to BOMA for all the effort you put into this symposium. We're truly excited to be a part of this. HC Company has earned our success based on the service we provide to others. That applies not only to our clients, but the architects, design team, and subcontractors we work with. Our relationships are built on trust and respect. We've built our business from a foundation of integrity, community, teamwork, and accountability. We're ready to take on your next project, and we will exceed your expectations.
Great office space isn't about the deal, it's about the ideal. It's about doing the research, having a deep understanding of the market, curating a relationship, and always delivering on a promise. The core of what we do is build community. Our starting point is always people. Throughout the project development, we create lasting relationships. That's what puts us on the map. The pandemic called for unprecedented times. At BVA, we have prepared ourselves for the future. We are strategic in how we map out each one of our developments. Just like you, we're focused on the future of business. We understand how people live, work, and commute. We are currently working on 14 new commercial buildings across the Treasure Valley, totaling 835,000 square feet, with plans to be open in 2021 and 2022. We are Idaho's premier commercial developer, specializing in general office, medical office, and industrial space. We look forward to a great 2021. At BVA, we believe in passion, integrity, and a relentless work ethic to inspire excellence.
We're back. Thanks for sticking with us. Thanks, sponsors, for those amazing messages. Now it is time for the State of Commercial Real Estate panel. On this panel today, we have Sarah Shropshire with Cushman Wakefield Pacific, Devin Pierce of TOK Commercial, Amanda Snowy Holiday with Colliers, Idaho, David Tucker with Allied Universal, and moderated by Trevor Nickel and his amazing socks with BVA Development. Trevor, take it away.
Great, thanks Christian. It's awesome to be here with everybody this morning. We have a fantastic panel, amazing experts and expertise here in the Boise market. I just wanted to real quickly kick off with some high-level stats from 2020, what's kind of happening in the commercial world, especially from a retail, office, and industrial standpoint. So retail net absorption actually increased in 2020, and vacancy did increase a little bit, but then this last quarter dipped down just a little bit. So looking on positive trends. Office market again, net absorption decreased in 2020, but last quarter in 2020 did increase. So again, a positive trend in the future. Vacancy is up slightly in 2020 on the office side. And then industrial, I think to nobody's surprise, it's a hot market with industrial. Net absorption was drastically higher, and again, vacancy did bump up over the year, but it's still at 3.3%. So just give that quick high level of 2020. Sarah, let's get kicked off with the retail world though. In the news we're seeing a lot of vacancies, restaurants that are going out of business, so the news is saying. Tell us what's going on. Are there businesses or restaurants waiting to backfill those spaces?
Absolutely, there's restaurants waiting to backfill. I have tenants waiting in the wings constantly, ready to take over. But I will say the reality of that, from what we're seeing, is a lot of the restaurants that are announcing closures are ones that were announcing closures before the pandemic, or ones that, unfortunately we saw open as a community and kind of knew out of the gate that they may not make it. And then ones that are saying, we just need to take a break. We're going to close down temporarily and then open again once we feel like we have a little bit more clarity and can open maybe a little bit safer. So I'd say the reality is we really don't have that many closures. And if any of these tenants that do have A-plus real estate, it will be immediately taken over by either new to market tenant or a local tenant, or one that's already here that's looking to expand their presence even more because they've been able to survive the pandemic really with flying colors.
Interesting. Yeah. So even though the news is saying, hey, there's all these restaurants closing down, it's really nothing different, because there's restaurants that close and open all the time. It's nothing that's extremely higher than other times.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's great. Okay. So then on the big box stuff, I just saw in the news the other day, Amazon is opening up their 6th location here in the market.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then I'm also seeing some big box stores that are closing down as well. I mean, how is that affecting the retail market as a whole?
Nothing new for us. We have seen the Shopkos closing. We've seen Macy's. We've seen some JCPenney's close, Sears. All of that happened even really before the pandemic. And tenants are still looking at backfilling those. A lot of it's still subdividing, taking half of it. We're seeing some users coming to our market, probably pushed by Amazon, that say, we want to have a presence here, and we also want to do our distribution or maybe some small light manufacturing as well. And so they're taking over some of these Shopko spaces or Macy's spaces with the intention of maybe doing a little bit of both and being able to use it as a good hub for distribution. But when you talk about vacancy, if you think about Boise and Idaho, really we haven't seen our vacancy go over 7% in quite some time. And if you think about how much of that is 100,000 square foot Shopko, 100,000 square foot Macy's, really when it gets down to the more manageable tenants like restaurants or auto parts or clothing, any kind of soft goods, small scale grocer, that really doesn't leave that much vacancy for those types of spaces.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's great. So then, Amanda, you deal a lot with various sectors, right? You're in the office, the retail, industrial, all those markets. What are you seeing out there? From the COVID effect, has one industry been affected more than another? How's all that playing out?
They're all kind of affected a little bit differently. At light industrial, we haven't seen really a change. It's just a booming, as Devin will can attest to as well. It's just nonstop going. Office space, it's been pretty consistent. Instead of occupancy issues, there really hasn't been a change in that. It's more the utilization of the premises.
And what do you mean by that?
So as we social distance, businesses are looking at how they are in offices. Maybe they're doing away with the open cubicles and that are so close together and stuff. They're possibly looking at expanding out so that they can provide the social distancing, the safe factors, and keep everybody employed as well as productive at the same time. They're looking at devising their business plans. Are they going to be more in the office? Are they going to go to a staggered schedule? Are they going to be maybe doing more remote with a smaller office space, but yet they would still need the same square footage because they would have to spread their people out a little bit more? So it's more the utilization that we're seeing the changes in on the office side. Retail, we've just, as Sarah was saying as well, we've just got a few changes that we've had in retails. A few places have closed, but nothing significant at this point in time, not at all what we were prepared for.
What are you seeing with landlords? How have landlords and tenants been working together? What are some creative things that you've seen happen maybe out there that they've done or helped structure some deals?
After the initial roller coaster, the emotions that were just going up and down, at first we saw a lot of tenants were coming in with deferments. Early March we had 3, 6 months, 1 year, 2 year deferments request. At first it was just the initial panic, and owners are stopping and trying to take a look at everything and say, hey, how is this going to affect us as well? What can we do to help these businesses and whether they're small or large, continue through this time and get through everything. We have seen owners completely waive late fees. We put together a loan in the Collier's portfolio, probably about 38% of our portfolio. We had to create deferment packages. We had a few abatements come in as well. However, as it went down into it and all the loans and the grants businesses were applying for these type of things, most of them were not accepted. Most of the business owners and stuff, I would say about 10% deferments were accepted. We did have a couple of abatements that went into play as well. Otherwise than that, owners are, and tenants both, they're asking for financial information back and forth to kind of support requests from tenants. Owners are trying to absorb more things as well for the safety and the continuance of the businesses. So there's been a lot of concern, a lot of understanding, a lot of flexibility, adaptability, a lot of empathy provided to each side. It's been wonderful to be a part of, to see that people care about each other and the extent that they will go to ensure that we all make it through this.
Yeah, that's great. The other day in our office, we were talking about just being part of Boise, and just we feel pretty blessed to be in such a great place, right? Just how it just seems like everybody's really supported each other really well. Businesses, owners, landlords, all the above, just kind of, for the most part, have just worked really well together. So that's good to hear, just that it's supported there. David, so on the security side across the country, we've kind of been seeing civil unrest, right?
No doubt.
It's been, luckily again, we're blessed in Boise it hasn't been a huge impact here. Doesn't mean that it couldn't happen in the future though, right? But so seeing across the country the things that have been going on, the riots and whatnot, the looting, the things that have happened to buildings, what are you seeing landlords and building owners do to kind of prepare for an event like that could potentially happen in the future?
Yeah, all that was going on in the country was definitely disheartening. It makes everybody take a step back and look. And I think you hit it on the head. Blessed to be in Boise and be in this environment. And Boise will never be mistaken for DC or San Fran. But we will say that owners are doing their due diligence, working to be proactive as opposed to being reactive. And therefore, we're seeing a lot more calls for man guarding, patrol, and video monitoring as well.
Interesting. And so has security become a bigger part of tenants when they're looking, or from a landlord standpoint, has that become a little bit higher up on the radar?
Yeah, definitely seeing an increase, a push to the forefront, if you will, regarding security, because security out here is a different sense. Again, it's not going to be what we see in DC or San Fran or any big city that you want to throw in the mix, but security out here in the Boise area, they realize that there's a lot of things that can happen as a result of elections and just 2020 as a whole. And as a result of those events, it showed a lot of businesses that, hey, we're not prepared for X, Y, Z, and it created a lot of uneasiness. And as a result of that uneasiness, they said, maybe we should look into these type of things. And, it's kind of like driving without insurance. You don't like that. It definitely makes you like, hey, I got to get my stuff together there. Yeah. And so that's what we're seeing out here. A lot of, I equate it to, a lot of us have rings at our house, because we want to be prepared. We want to be vigilant. And so the same thing goes for work. I mean, that's our home away from home. And it feels like a lot of times we're there more than we are at home, And so as a result of that, we're seeing businesses that didn't have security before are putting security in place, and businesses that had security are extending their coverage.
Well, that's interesting. At first, I thought you were talking about the rings. I was like, rings at home, but we're talking about the doorbells.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're on the same page.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. We installed ours so we know if the boys are coming to knock on the door for the girls. And
Wait a second. Got to stay on point.
Hold on.
I have a small anecdote. I have a tenant that has hundreds of locations across the country. And they called us in the beginning of all of the unrest, and we were hearing about riots in larger cities. And they have a location downtown, and they called us and said, hey, do we need to board up? Do we need to do something? It sounds like, the world's going crazy. What do we need to do to protect our stores? Should we be worried about our downtown location? And we said, no, absolutely, you're fine. You're absolutely fine. Don't worry about it. But for those sort of tenants, would you recommend that we say, get a security system, get some cameras? What would be the first step to just give them a little bit of comfort?
Great question, Sarah. I think the biggest thing, for us, we really work to ask questions and listen, be a true consultant. Because there's a host of solutions that we offer and that are out there. You just don't want to just throw anything at someone that isn't needed. And then from there, it's just about helping, and then on the civil unrest side, what we're doing there is really monitoring via boots on the ground, via social media. And then from there, we're able to advise on planned rallies and protests and threats. So we'd be able to say, okay, this is what's going on. And then from there, we work with teams, their team and also our team, on how to respond when those events arise. And that way, we know that they have the proper plans, protocols in place. And then we're able to also to provide those web intelligence reports, so that way they're really full versed on everything that's going on for the community that their businesses are in. For us, it's big. We're big on being proactive. We pride ourselves on being a proactive provider, and we think that's the best way to go about things. And do your due diligence, do your homework, as opposed to something happens and it's, oh, we probably should have thought about that ahead of time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, like you said, it's on the front of people's mind a little bit more than ever before. But again, it's like insurance. You really don't want it, but it's really good to have it just in case.
Definitely.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that helps in the process. Devin.
Yes, sir.
Industrial. Here in the market, we saw the stats earlier. 3.3% vacancy. How we ended up the year. It's a tight market out there. What are you seeing across the whole space?
Yeah, like you said, it's a tight market, and it's starting to get even tighter. Really, when you think of the 3.3%, if you kind of dig into it, as in the retail market, we're probably realistically in a 2.2% vacancy situation. For the first time, we're seeing, spaces aren't coming on the market because they're already leased. It's kind of a domino effect of, once you get the space for the one person, you already can backfill it with the next person or the next tenant, and people are expanding. Companies are coming in from needing to be here from national and regional levels. We have actually last year we had quite a few startups as well, and we just continue to have kind of record years in the number of deals that are coming. And then on top of that, it takes a while to build an industrial building, a spec building. So you're a year out planning, and so the demand is far outpacing the supply right now.
And what are you seeing? So on the demand side, there's different sectors within industrial. Your warehouse, your R&D,
right.
Distribution. Where are you seeing? Is it kind of even across the board? Is there one particular sector that's having a little bit more?
Well, I think across the board the demand is high, no matter what it is. But the one thing that's kind of interesting is historically we haven't been known as a distribution area in the Treasure Valley, and a lot of times we would lose out to Salt Lake and or other locations. And we're starting to see a little shift. I think part of that is on the e-commerce is a big part of that as we gain traction. Also on top of the fact that our population is growing around the Treasure Valley, and then we can service we can service the entire Northwest with a one-day truck log, basically. So companies are wanting to be. It's a business-friendly climate in Idaho, and so I think that's expanding our distribution aspect here.
Yeah. Nice. So then, another follow-up question: are you seeing the majority of these industrial spaces users? Are they on the smaller spectrum? Are you seeing an increase in larger users coming into the market? Where's the
both?
Okay.
Both. Like you said, you've got. I mentioned this earlier. I think when I had my first speech here in BOMA in, I think 2008, and I commented that over 90% of the deals done in our market are under 10,000 square feet. Well, over the years now we're about 80%, right? So there's a lot more larger users that are coming in, companies expanding. With that, we're also building larger spec buildings. A lot of those tenants are taking those larger spec spaces, which is creating a really a void for the smaller spaces. So if you're under 10,000 feet, 5 to 10,000 feet, it's tough to find a space for you right now, especially if you need a grade and a dock. I mean, you kind of sometimes throw your hands up and say, you got to renew, or we got to figure out, can you split your space up? Can we take, can you lease 2,000 square feet somewhere else? You have to get a little bit creative right now. So
it's a tight market.
Yeah.
Tight market. Okay, so then for all of you who are kind of your boots on the ground, you're out in the market every day. There's people moving in from kind of all over, right? Are you, tell us about what you're seeing out there as far as, are you getting a lot of activity with businesses that are trying to relocate or that are trying to move from out of the area? And kind of what does that mean for the market?
Well, I will start it. Yes.
Yeah.
We have a ton of maybe franchisees that are moving here because they've been living in New York and say, you know what, let's start something new. The time is great now, and they're buying a franchise and moving to Idaho to open them here. Or we have maybe people that are moving from Texas that they can work from home, do whatever they want, so they want to move here, but then they also want to open, maybe the food truck that they had also run in Texas, or the small restaurant, or, they're bringing their business that was somewhere else here. And then we are seeing a lot of transplants, obviously, that are just retirees or coming and just want to settle down some roots here without necessarily bringing a business, but certainly increasing the population and becoming good consumers.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're seeing in the industrial world as well. As many of the national regional tenants that want to come in here, it's unbelievable how many small businesses want to relocate and expand into our market. And a lot of California, a lot of Washington, a lot of Oregon, and it's fun to see. There are a lot of great people to work with. They're excited to be here, and I think that's kind of what you alluded to earlier. Pretty lucky to be here. And you talk to other state or people, brokers in other states, and it's a different feeling there than it is that we're seeing here.
I'd say their attitude most of the time when I talk, especially in larger cities, they just say, "Oh, I haven't been to the office. I haven't been able to do anything. It's everyone's dead. I'm getting no business. No tenants are looking," and we are almost the opposite here because it's such a great, safe environment still, and people want to take advantage of that.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Well, I guess, and first, I should have started off, congratulations to everybody for surviving 2020.
Same to you.
So, yeah, I'm very glad to be on this side of it, I wanted to, kind of just wrap up with one more quick question. What are you hoping to see for yourselves, for your community, for your business in 2021?
I'll say for, me personally, health and safety for my family and really everyone as we navigate this new normal. And then for Ally Universal, I'd say just being seen as a resource and a consultant in the community that we serve. And then lastly, big thing, just remember that we're all blessed. I mean, it's a lot of people going through a lot of heartache out there. And, we're blessed to be in Boise, blessed to, be able to go to work and have jobs and those type of things. So I think that's kind of been on the forefront of my mind since 2020 and going forward.
Yeah.
I would have to echo that. First and foremost, the health and safety of not only the local levels, but for the state and the national level as well. 2020 was actually for Colliers was substantial growth as we were having different businesses, owner businesses and stuff coming in because they're needing our expertise. These are uncharted territories that they're looking at as well. So we would like to continue to build on that growth and be a continued resource for the community, period. And then also, it's just, again, it's been such a blessing just to see everybody prioritize their life and value what you do have instead of reaching so far out and just becoming a stronger community. So we would like to continue seeing that.
I love it. Yeah. That's great. That's great. Thanks.
I mean, they've kind of already nailed it. I don't know what else to, I guess, I'd love to see I'm looking forward to time where we can see more smiling faces.
Yeah.
You know, and
this is great right here.
Yeah, right. I mean, and just hanging out with friends and family together in larger settings. That will be fun. Definitely look forward to that. You know, from company standpoint, you know, a lot of the same as far as, you know, just trying to be there for the clients and trying to find solutions for them and work with them and yeah, continue to build relationships and hopefully have a positive impact on the community of what we do, and from the community, like you said, safety or health and safety, and you know, less social media maybe.
I like that.
Yeah, that's great.
I mean, going last year, I don't even know what to say. Aside from, I would say maybe the one thing I tack on is, you know, for myself, personally, for the community, for my business, you know, some clarity, you know, being able to go into 2021 with a sense of purpose and maybe a little bit more clarity of what to expect, what we're going to be looking for. And, you know, what sort of clarity can I provide with what I do for my work to the community and to people, to give some sense of comfort that, you know, our economy's strong, we're doing well, you know, and finding personal, you know, clarity, and maybe that's just finding peace with, you know, where we're at and where we're going. And I think that would be probably the only other thing I'd add to that.
That's great. I would say, you know, thank you guys so much. It's been incredible. Just getting your insights from this last year. It's crazy to think that just a year ago when we were meeting, we were all, you know, in person in front of, you know, all the BOMA community, and we knew about COVID at that time, right? But things hadn't started shutting down yet. But I think you know, in our office, it feels incredibly optimistic. It feels like there's a light at the end of the tunnel, right? And we're very much looking forward to 2021. It's going to be an amazing year. But yeah, thank you guys again. It's been fantastic.
Thanks, Trevor. Appreciate you.
Thank you, panelists, and thank you, Trevor, for leading that great conversation. I can't wait to talk to all of you more about that soon. The theme for this year's symposium is a light in the industry, and we wanted to hear from a few of our sponsors. Let's hear what they have to say.
Hey, this is Trevor Nickel with BVA Development. I want to take the time to thank BOMA for being such an amazing light and resource throughout this pandemic, and I'm looking forward to attending their up-and-coming symposium. Thank you, BOMA, again for all you do.
Hello, good morning. This is Justin Crannon from Holly Troxel. Holly Troxel is proud to be a sponsor of the 2021 Symposium. The BOMA Symposium is the preeminent presentation of commercial real estate in the state of Idaho, and I, like most of you, am looking forward to hearing the presentations and information from our experts as we navigate out of this pandemic. Thank you very much.
BOMA, we want to thank you for all you've done for our community. And to our clients and partners, we look forward to continuing our tradition of success. From all of us here at HC,
thank you. Hey everybody, it's Cody Sauer here with Boise Construction Management Software Company Condoc. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to BOMA Idaho. This has been our second year participating in the annual symposium. It's been a great experience for us, being able to learn more about the commercial construction industry as well as commercial real estate. I look forward to seeing everybody virtually here at the end of the month. All right, thanks, bye.
Hey everyone, Ryan DeGuzman here, project manager over at AAA Roofing. Just want to say thank you to BOMA for all your resources that you supply us, and you know, all the support and help and getting us, you know, to become a better part of the community. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great day.
Hello, I'm Scott McDonald with TDS. We're excited to be part of BOMA Commercial Real Estate Symposium, and we are looking forward to meeting and working with the commercial real estate industry, where we can provide TDS fiber, the fastest internet speeds available for your building development or business.
This is Russ Bagney with Western Blade Maintenance. I'd like to thank all of our clients and BOMA members for sticking with us through 2020 and all the hardships came with it. Here's looking forward to a more prosperous 2021. Thanks, everyone.
Hi, Sean Kelly here with Zions Bank Business Banking Team. Commercial real estate creates the foundation to help grow Idaho business, and that's why we're a proud sponsor of BOMA Idaho. Thank you for helping Idaho build stories of resilience.
kudos to Zions to really specialize in small business and to dedicate resources that will specifically work with small businesses trying to get small business loans.
Headquartered in Idaho, ESI offers nationally ranked, industry-leading commercial construction. For nearly 50 years, we have successfully managed projects across the country and internationally. At ESI, we believe that everyone succeeds together. Our culture is focused on the relentless pursuit of safety, delivering superior service, quality, and value. Our teams get the job done right, on time, and within budget. Our talented people make the difference. That's why we recruit and train the industry's best. Together, with our customers, we focus on building remarkable projects that will make an enduring impact in every community we touch. ESI, a construction partner providing first-choice service, dedicated, dependable, dynamic.